Apple's just done something really amazing for AI, but it isn't what you think I'm talking about. In fact, if you go on the web at the moment, people are criticizing Apple over Apple Intelligence, and it's been delayed, and is it doing enough, and how's it interacting with Siri, and when will that sort of fully come to market? But what they've done isn't about that. What it's done is release the new M4, and in particular, the M3 Ultra Max Studio. And the reason that's of interest to us and to VFX professionals is because it provides an incredibly strong platform for doing machine learning, AI, LLM work locally, as in not in the cloud. Now, there are a bunch of reasons why you won't want to do stuff in the cloud. I mean, if you're doing consumer stuff, sure, cloud is great, right? But if you're doing serious professional work, well, then you have a couple of issues. Firstly, security, right? There's a lot of concern about having stuff uploaded to the cloud. In particular, people confuse the idea of using machine learning with training data for machine learning. So clients will say to you, we don't want your stuff on the cloud because we don't want some company out there, when we're working with a machine learning tool, stealing our IP. Though in the reality, in most cases, that's not what's happening. In most cases, what's happening is that it's running a machine learning algorithm, not training on that material. But it doesn't matter what the reality is. The perception is that you're going to lose IP. So running stuff locally, air-gapped effectively from the internet, means that you're not got the risk of your clients freaking out that their material is going into some bigger training data set. Second reason is just upload times. If you're doing a lot of big production commercial stuff, there's a real tax in having to upload a lot of stuff and put it on the cloud. And after all, the cloud is only some other person's computer, right? Something magical about the cloud, just a computer somewhere else. So if you've got that power locally, you can control it, manage it, and do stuff with it. And the third reason is just how fast it runs, like how much you can really throw at a problem and then manage that interactively so that you, as has always been the case, can iterate on your work. So the example that we've been looking at is doing stuff that's up-resing, taking low quality footage and up-resing it to high quality work. And there's a couple of scenarios here, right? One of them is you want to just take some footage that's archival and take it up, say, to 4 or 8K. The other example is I've got elements that I'm trying to incorporate in a high resolution plate. So if my background plate is already 4 or 8K, there's not much point trying to comp stuff in if it's low res because it'll clearly not match. Well, we've been using Topaz's Video AI 6 to do a bunch of tests on the new M3 Ultra. We got the M3 Ultra, we loved Topaz, so we thought, hey, let's just hit it really hard and see how it can work for production. And the answer is darn good. Now, Topaz actually has 2 versions of their most cutting edge stuff. They have this high-end model inside Topaz's Video AI 6, which is what we're using, which is very memory intensive, really takes advantage of the M3 Ultra. But also they have a new thing called Project Starlight, which only runs in the cloud. So while these are 2 very different technologies, they're both AI or machine-based learning. The new Project Starlight uses a diffusion model and produces spectacularly good results, but it's still only in early kind of prototype stage, and we could only get it running up to 4K. But even at HD, a 10-second clip took me about 50 minutes to get processed online. By comparison, when I'm up-resing stuff here locally, going between just 360 or 720 or HD up to 4K, I'm clocking in at 6, 10, 12 frames a second. So a huge difference between something that takes 50 minutes to do a 10-second clip and stuff that I can do in almost half of real time. But also I have that iterative process of being able to look at, say, 5 or 10 seconds, compare it and see how it works. The Ultra is absolutely brilliant at doing this. It has a huge amount of RAM, a huge amount of combined, because the M3 is basically 2 M3s put together, the M3 Ultra, huge amount of bandwidth through the chip. And so it gets into a completely brilliant space where you can iterate on the work, vary things. Because something like up-resing and the Topaz AI version 6 is more than just hitting a button. In fact, there's a whole bunch of settings you can play with. You can play with stuff to do with motion blur, to do with how it's choosing or not choosing to adjust between standard def and ultra high definition. There's a lot of parameters that you can play with to tweak a shot. And it mainly makes a difference because if you look in this shot right here, for example, you'll notice that it doesn't look like it's doing a lot because the object involved in the picture is naturally out of focus. whereas objects in the foreground are getting tremendous difference in how much they're being up-resed. The program is very, very clever in understanding the difference between something I want out of focus but at high res and something that's out of focus because it is low res, and I want that interpolated up. So these things aren't perfect. In fact, there's some weird artifacts you can get. In this shot where Chrissy is trying to do Angie's hair from an old take from FX Guide TV, if you stop it at the right moment, it looks like Chrissy's hands, the hand that's holding the comb, is in fact turning into a face, which is obviously not what you want. But you have to remember, this clip is being processed from 540p clip to 4K. That just shouldn't work. That just should have no usable results. But the bigger case is what I started the discussion with, which is, can I take a element that isn't at, say, 4K and up-res it to 4K when doing it in sort of a comp setup? So in Nuke, what we've done is we've built a little setup where we're comping this shot, and we've taken it up to 4K before we've taken it in, but as a green screen plate. And as a green screen plate, it's providing a really nice, sharp and clean up-resing of the HD footage to 4K, and it's not producing ringing nor temporal artifacts which would cause boiling on the mat. In fact, it's a real success story for being able to produce something that looks really, really appropriate for the background environment. Now, of course, Nuke can up-res things, and simply scaling something up isn't normally a problem. But if you're talking about keying stuff with fine hair detail and stuff, you need to be able to maintain what is in and out of focus. You need to sharpen what's meant to be in focus and not sharpen things that are meant to be out of focus. You don't want to lose artifacts, and you don't want those to change over time and have any temporal problems. And that's what we're getting. So a great combination and a great application of a reason why you might want to go out and buy a new, incredibly expensive, let's face it, it's not cheap, but a really, really amazing, robust M3 Ultra, and then use it in production for doing really complex AI work. So for all the details on what we did, go and check out our main story at fxguide.com. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe below. I'm Mike Seymour. See you.